Welcome to the AMSDynamics.com podcast. AMSDynamics.com. Let us be your dynamic business solution.
Hey, I'm Ash.
And I'm Tiny.
We are with AMS LLC, AMSDynamics.com.
Let us be your dynamic creative solution.
That's right. And we're on part something of a something.
We're back. We're back with we're continuing our deep dive into primal branding.
That's
absolutely.
Right.
And we're kind of nearing the end. We've really talked about lots of the primal codes, and we've got a lot of good information on the previous podcast. I would highly recommend anybody who's involved in business ownership, entrepreneurship, marketing, definitely give every one of them a listen. So primal branding is a concept by Patrick Hanlon. This is not our concept. It's a book by Patrick Hanlon called Primal Branding. And if you want to learn more about it, we'll put a link in the show notes so that you can take a look at that information and learn more about it. But what primal branding is it's a description of the different primal codes that are programmed into human beings, which if those primal codes are activated, those primal notes are struck, people have a propensity that we're predisposed to have an attraction and an attachment to whatever the source of that is. So that whatever that group, that product, that business, that band, that club, whatever it might be, if they're striking those primal chords, if they are touching on those primal codes, that activation inside the brain, it's instinctive, and we almost can't resist being drawn towards those groups and the desire to be a part of those groups.
Yeah, exactly. And we gave a couple examples in the last couple episodes about Tesla, ICP, Apple,
Wu-Tang Clan, Power Man 5000. Yeah. Sports teams are an excellent example of this.
They are.
I mean, they have. So remember, we've got the creation story, and the creed, the icons, sacred words, rituals, and now we are moving on to talking about non-believers.
So non-believers are the other people that aren't part of your tribe, your community, your marketing.
By definition, once you declare what you are also silently declaring what you are not.
Yeah.
And so in order for there to be a group, there has to be outsiders of that group.
Yeah.
This it's not a negative connotation. It's not something that's by design that anybody who's creating a group, who's creating a tribe, creating a family or a club, they're not intentionally trying to say, those are the people that we exclude. It's a simple fact. It's a logic fact that once you declare what is included in a data set, you are also silently declaring what's not included in the data set.
Yeah.
So when you have people who say, I'm an Elvis fan, that doesn't say they can't like the Beatles. It's just that they are an Elvis person. Remember this scene from Pulp Fiction where they talked about this. Are you Elvis or are you Beatles? Because Elvis people can like the Beatles and Beatles people can like Elvis, but nobody's both. Nobody's an Elvis person and a Beatles person. The same exact thing happens with sports teams.
Yeah.
You know, are you Yankees or are you Mets? People who enjoy East Coast rap versus West Coast rap. It's not that you are saying that there's no value to anything outside of the group that you've declared yourself to be a part of, but you're one or you're the other.
Yeah, I mean, because if you're part of a group, you don't want to be just everybody. You got to have people that aren't like Harry Potter. What are people that aren't into magic called?
Muggles.
Exactly. And so, and so it's not a derogatory term. It's like, well, they're the Muggles. They don't understand what we do. They don't understand what we are, our icons, what we can do, and all that stuff. It's just a term. Doesn't mean opposition. Doesn't mean the enemy.
Now, you've hit on something fantastic there, though, because Harry Potter, I mean, you're talking about a homeless woman who wrote this.
Yeah.
And whether intentionally or not, whether instinctively, whether by design or not, she was striking on those primal codes because Harry Potter is filled with the icons. It's filled with the creation story. It's filled with the sacred words. It's definitely filled with the rituals.
Yeah.
And of course, not only do you have within the world of Harry Potter, you've got the pagans, the non-believers, like you just said, the Muggles. You also have in the real world, as readers and members of audiences, you have people who are non-believers of Harry Potter. There were boycotts of Harry Potter and petitions against it and all that stuff. I mean, people were very, very seriously against Harry Potter, which of course it made the Harry Potter inner circle that much more vocal, and it made them become much more tight-knit. as they rallied the troops together to fight against the non-believers. So that's an excellent example of what we're talking about. The fact is that once you declare what you are all about, there are those who are simply not about that.
Yeah.
And so that yin and yang will always be there. Apple and IBM in the 80s and 90s, I mean, they had a real battle against each other. And IBM had its sacred word, which was think.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Apple came back with think different. And so that simple addition of a sacred word, it was the way in which your believers in Apple would declare themselves to be believers in Apple and declare that the IBM believers are non-believers in Apple. So you have your believers, your yin, and you have your non-believers, your yang. And so that does not, it's not something that you create by design, it's something that's created by default.
I was going to say that. I was like, it's not something you can actually design. It's just kind of, it happens.
It's I've hesitated to say that it's a byproduct, but it's almost a byproduct. It's almost a side effect because of the fact that once you come up with the scope of the universe that your tribe inhabits, there is, by definition, by requirement, there will be people and consciousnesses that exist outside of the universe, the scope of the universe of what you've created.
Yep. There's another name for them too. In the book, he used to call it what? Pagans?
He called it pagans, non-believers, heathens are three of the words that he uses to discuss that. There's some other words that he uses as well, but essentially it's non-believers, people who are not a part of the tribe, not a part of the group, not a part of the inner circle. Now,
for good marketing, say like you're going for a strong brand presence or something like that, it is a good thing to have. I'm trying to think, for example, who doesn't have like separation of people hating it? I mean, there's a company out there that has probably pretty good market share of greatness. You know what I mean?
Well, we talked about Coke versus Pepsi before.
Yeah.
And I mean, Coke people are Coke people and Pepsi people are Pepsi people. And again, for me, I truly don't care. Flavor-wise, thirst quench-wise, it does not matter to me. However, I have never walked into a store and reached out and grabbed a Pepsi bottle and put it up and bought it and left with it because I decided to buy Pepsi. Never. Now, I truly, in my deep soul, heart of hearts, do not care about the flavor of Pepsi versus Coke, but I'm a Coke person anyway. I just am. Their marketing activated my primal codes. Their marketing, it struck all those primal notes for me, and I'm a Coke person.
So it's not about the taste. It's about just the red color.
It's about the experience. It's about the icons. It's about the Coke doesn't really have that many sacred words, but the icons and the rituals of the Coke. We talked about the last time. We talked about the fact that Coca-Cola they've got the lockdown on Christmas. With the polar bear and the Santa Claus. Santa Claus is a Coke guy.
Yeah.
I'm
looking at a Coke here now. Original taste. That's one of the key words that came out when they tried to change the flavor.
Well, and that's the thing, that even the failure of New Coke is something that we celebrate as Coke people.
And it says delicious and refreshing. Simple, red, boom.
Yeah. It's iconic. The iconic Coke symbol, the iconic Coke packaging, the iconic Coke icons. And so the non-believers happen by default. As soon as you begin activating the primal codes in your believers, non-believers will begin to exist. Because as soon as you declare this is what's inside the circle, there has to be people outside the circle. Now, some people view it as a good thing, where they say, you've arrived when you finally get some haters.
Yeah.
That's a big thing, and it's a real thing. You talked about it earlier. You were talking about Joe Rogan. There was some upheaval about something that Joe Rogan said, and you made a very astute comment. You said if he was a small-time podcast who only had 10 views every time, nobody would care. This would not be an issue.
There wouldn't be a signed petition against him, yeah.
Because of the fact, if he was a small podcast that got 10 views a week, that means that there's not really an inner circle. There's not really a tribe. There's not really a family, a group. He's not really moving the emotions of a large group of people. He has no zealots. and so he has no need of pagans, of non-believers. He has no zealots, and so the existence of non-believers and pagans is unlikely. But because he has such a large, zealous following, by default, he must have a reasonably comparable group of pagans and non-believers in him.
And I'm sure he didn't go out there and look for that. It just happened.
It just happens.
Yeah, likeness attracts, I guess. Or a brand attracts certain,
Well, very much like nobody ever wrote a book about the day that nothing happened, and nobody ever wrote a song about the day that nothing happened. Jerry Seinfeld show, completely notwithstanding. Almost never is there anything written, done, performed, or experienced about the time that nothing happened. And so if Joe Rogan was not making waves, he was not influencing, he was not making a difference with the words that he says, if he did not command an audience that had the true potential to alter and shape the real functioning of the developed world, then it wouldn't matter. But because he has such a large, zealous following, he must also, equal and opposite, he must also then have an equally zealous group of non-believers, detractors, pagans, heathens, however you want to phrase it.
So I know we talked about Tesla. Tesla has the same thing.
They do, very much so.
They have, what are Tesla fans called? Are they got a specific name? Out of curiosity?
Not that I know of.
I guess just Tesla.
There's not Teslites or anything.
Fanboys.
People do say Elon Musk fanboys. You hear that a lot.
But I know there's one for combustion engine people that don't believe in renewable resources and electric cars, right? And they're like a name for them in Tesla world. I know you said something about they get iced.
Yeah,
internal combustion
ICE
engine.
cars, internal combustion engines, and so I can't really think of. So I mean,
off the top of your head, they don't call them something.
Well, I mean, people talk about being a gearhead and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
They talk about coal rolling and all that stuff. But your non-believers in that whole movement, it's not necessarily just like people who are into diesel or people who are into combustion engine cars. There's a lot more that's going into it.
This podcast is brought to you by AMS LLC out of Greensboro, North Carolina. AMS LLC is a full-service business consultation firm that provides tax services, accounting, and bookkeeping and payroll. And then there's the division that Ash and I work in, AMS Dynamics. We provide creative solutions, including logo design, videography, photography, website, social media, anything that you need for your creative solutions for your business.
That's right. On our website, if you go to amsdynamics.com, you want to book an appointment for any of those things or a consultation, check it out. Book now up top corner. Set up a schedule with us. Come on to the office, or we can do it via Zoom or by phone call or however is more convenient for you.
And the website has a comprehensive list of all the services that we provide, along with the description of each one. And you can contact us and find out more information about it. Check out amsdynamics.com.
Do you have a podcast? Don't know where to put it? Don't know where to even start? Check out Anchor.fm. I'm telling you, Anchor.fm is the place to start putting your podcast. I put mine, it's free. That's where I put all my podcasts at. And they help you with distribution. They help you with the cover art. They help you with the RSS feed, links, boom, boom, boom. Anchor.fm has everything you need to start off a podcast, and it's free. Anchor.fm.
So you got to remember, when it comes to Tesla itself, Tesla has its fingers into so many different kinds of things. Tesla, they're known for selling cars, but they are not a car company. They're a technology company.
That's true.
Remember that Tesla's got solar, they have vehicles, they have AI, they have a deep learning AI computer called Dojo, and they actually unveiled, the Tesla robot that they're getting
I've seen that. It kind of went away though.
So it's not getting away. He openly said this is something that we are doing X number of years into the future.
Oh, okay.
His plan is to have several gigafactories up and running, and then utilize the robots to do menial tasks.
Gotcha.
They have robots doing menial tasks in the factories now. Every car manufacturer does.
Yeah.
But the difference is that he unveiled a robot that looks humanoid, and so people kind of freaked out about it. But you find non-believers for each of those things. When you talk about Tesla solar, you have non-believers in solar. You have people who absolutely despise the idea of solar energy. Oh, you're putting coal miners out of business, and it's undependable. What happens on a cloudy day and all that. So you've got non-believers right there for that. You have non-believers and pagans for the fact that Elon Musk is a billionaire. And a multi-billionaire at that. There are simply people that just hate the fact that anybody has that level of wealth. You also have people who take note of the fact that they unveil a product and then they say the product will be here on this date, and then it doesn't come for 2 or 3 years after that date. And so they make accusations, oh, it's vaporware, that kind of thing. It's never going to come around. It's never going to, it's a pump and dump scheme, that kind of thing. So that's another segment of non-believers. And then the cars themselves. People that say that, electric vehicles are garbage. You'll never be able to go on a long road trip. There's nowhere to charge it. What happens if you run out of battery? You can't just pull into a gas station and fill up. Non-believers for the cars, for the concept of the cars even. So they're drawing in non-believers from a multitude of different places. Then you add in the fact that Tesla as a car company has a higher market cap than the combination of the next 6 or 7 car companies combined. And they say that it's undeserved because Tesla's only been around since, 2010?
Yeah, not very long.
And so you've got, car companies that have been around for nearly 100 years that do not even come close to scratching the surface of the market cap that Tesla has. But that market cap comes as a function of how well they hit the primal codes, how well they activated those primal codes, struck those primal notes, and made that zealous group. Because somebody who cannot afford a Tesla vehicle to buy it, they can afford a share of Tesla stock.
Yeah.
And so they want to be a part of the mission. They want to be involved in the creed. They want to participate in displaying the icons. They want to enjoy the rituals and speak the sacred language. And so they buy shares of stock. And even though you can't afford a $143,000 Model X, you can afford to go to Robinhood and buy $50 of the stock.
Yeah.
And when you have such a large and zealous group doing that on the regular, that's why you end up with a $1.1 trillion market cap for what is purportedly a car company.
Yeah.
But it's not a car company. It's a technology company, and it's also a beacon that draws in a cult-like following. And so that's why they are so well positioned. They can unveil any product and it will sell out immediately. He put out a whistle that was shaped like a Cybertruck, and it sold out in like 15 minutes. Anytime he needs to make money for the company, I need to raise money. What do we do? Let's build a flamethrower. Well, I don't think we can sell flamethrowers. We'll call it not a flamethrower. He did that, and they sold out in like an hour. Because you have a zealous following. You and I could do the exact same thing. We could make a flamethrower out of a roofing torch, and we could put not a flamethrower down the side of it and put it out there. And I simply don't think we would sell out of them.
Because it's, no cult following.
We don't yet have that level of cult following.
Yeah.
We understand the concepts of hitting those primal codes and hitting those primal notes, but until you have an influence in so many different avenues that so many people value, you're not going to be there where not only do you have that influence over that cult-like following, you also have that level of non-believers out there detracting. What they don't understand is that those non-believers are all also drawing attention to the cult, to the tribe, to the group. People get out there and they're screaming and shouting and really rabble-rousing against something. Well, a completely uninitiated person who's unaware now becomes aware. And so they now have to they will become involved, they'll do their own research, and they will fall on one side or the other.
Well, like for small business sake, we're talking about small businesses and businesses that we can help manage. It kind of comes down to this. Say we got a mom and pop grocery convenience store, right? We have one in town. Actually, it's been around for a long time. They're just, mom and pop shop.
Yep.
And then the box store comes in. And now you got your tribe that only shops at your store, locally sourced meats, locally sourced dairy, cheese that was made, down the road by somebody else, and you got that kind of zealots. And to them, everybody else is box store people, and they didn't make that happen. That's what happened with loyalty to the company and stuff.
But remember that yin and yang goes both ways.
Yeah.
Because your box store people kind of look down on the mom and pop folks.
Exactly.
Oh, look at them. They think they're better than me because they go to the mom and pop store.
And it's, in my mind, I'm like, they're going to be more expensive because they're more specialist.
That is an idea that is out there.
True or not.
Again, yeah, you're completely right. Whether it's true or not, the perception is that if you go to a mom and pop store, you go to a one-off, this is the ones, this is Bob's store.
Organic Whole Foods or something, because there's a Whole Foods around here, and there's a kind of the Whole Food group of people that shop, and then there's like Walmart groceries type people that shop.
Organic is a sacred word.
Yeah.
You say organic, that is a sacred word, and it's involved in the ritual of having a healthful, organic, free of pesticides, free of chemicals and preservatives type of a diet. That's a ritual. And organic type diet people are non-believers in the processed food diets.
Let me ask you this question.
And the reverse is also true.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question. If you pull up to the parking lot of like a Whole Foods or organic mom and pop store, are you going to find more Teslas in that parking lot than you would like a Walmart?
It all depends on it depends on a series of factors, because what area are you in?
Yeah.
And so Whole Foods, the actual Whole Foods title store, those are going to be found in areas where you might very well find a lot more Teslas.
Well, it's a different type of philosophy and living philosophy, I guess. I don't want GMOs in my food. I don't want to leave a carbon footprint if I can help it. I'll pay a little extra for some homemade peanut butter, and that stuff's great. But like on my side of the fence, I'm like, I can't afford that. I'll just go and get Jif.
Yep.
It's made some factory in Puerto Rico. I don't know where it's made.
I mean, you and I both know that you can, in fact, do grocery shopping at a Dollar Tree.
You can.
You are not going to find organic. You're not going to find the most healthful of foods, but you can do it at a Dollar Tree. Mm-hmm. Now, you go into the Dollar Tree, you have a great time running around and doing some shopping. Everything's $1. Mm-hmm. Are you looked down upon by people, by say, Target folks?
Yeah, because, Target, Walmart.
Target, Walmart. Think of
you shop at Walmart.
It's an ongoing joke. I'm not a Target person. I'm not like old money. I don't think I'm better than everybody.
Target.
That's a direct quote from a comedian who talks about that, and the whole crowd busted out laughing because they know what he's talking about.
Oh, you go to Wally World.
Yeah.
Oh, I go to Target. Mm-hmm. See how that is? You're right.
Yeah.
That's your pagan non-believers.
That's the non-believer. Target folks are non-believers in Walmart. Walmart folks are non-believers in Target.
Won't you take that mess down to Wally World? I'm serious. And what are you doing in Target?
I have personally said, and I'll take ownership of it. I've been inside of a Target, and I mean, I grew up poor, and so, let's be honest here. I'm Walmart. I'm not Target. Right? I'm Dollar Tree. I'm Walmart. I'm not Target. But I was in a Target, and I'm looking around. I'm like, man, Target is like Walmart for pretty people.
It's nice.
It's a very different group. It's a very different feeling. Even the staff behaves in a different way.
It's a different culture there.
But that doesn't change the fact that I'm a Walmart.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I still just like there's nothing wrong with Pepsi, but I'm a Coke.
Yeah.
And so the word pagan, the word non-believer, it has this real aggressive type of connotation, but I would shy away from thinking about it that way. It simply is illustrating the fact that once you have had your primal code activated for a group, for a product, for a business, you're that. You're activated for that.
Yeah.
You were in sleeper cell mode, and now you are activated for this mission, this creed, these rituals, this sacred language for this group.
Well, there's another great example I can think of. Compare McDonald's versus Panera Bread.
Okay.
All right, so Panera Bread, they set up a culture where it's they call it something like fast cuisine or something.
I honestly don't know, but if I'm certain a company as successful as Panera does have its own sacred word.
I listened to him, the owner, the ex-CEO of it, the one that started it. I remember him talking about it. He wanted a place where you can sit down and have a sandwich or soup. Nice place, fireplace, sit there as long as you want. Right, that was his business model.
Okay. So,
and Panera Bread to me seems a little more expensive for what it is, right? McDonald's, on the other hand, is a totally different culture. Mm-hmm. And so it's different. It's like, okay, ask a kid, hey, my 7-year-old son, where do you want to eat at? Where's he going to say?
McDonald's.
Yep. Mm-hmm. But you can get something better at Panera.
Well, so a couple of things are involved there. First of all, I mean, McDonald's has the icons. You've got the clown, the Ronald McDonald.
Happy Meals.
Now they stepped away and did some rebranding. They went kind of a gourmet coffee thing, the McCafe thing.
All the kids that grew up on Ronald McDonald and Playhouses are now cafe coffee drinkers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, all of us in the '80s that wanted to go to the McDonald's Play Place now, like you said, I want to be Starbucks, but I don't have a Starbucks wallet.
Yeah.
So I can go to McDonald's and I can have the McCafe experience without breaking the bank. But Ray Kroc, who's the one who actually, franchised and popularized McDonald's, his attitude about it was that he is not in the hamburger business, he's in the real estate business. His idea was to have a McDonald's everywhere, every corner, everywhere you look, there's a McDonald's. And initially, he had the part of the creed was to make it as easy as possible to get into a McDonald's, get a sandwich, and get out of the McDonald's. Get in, grab your sandwich, get out. Fast food. And so he did not see himself as being involved in the food business, in the food service business, in the restaurant business. He considered himself to be in the real estate business, which is why you see McDonald's everywhere.
Everywhere. If there's an exit on the highway, there's a McDonald's nearby.
I've been all over the planet. There are McDonald's everywhere.
Really?
Everywhere. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it just makes the thing like Target, Walmart, Panera, McDonald's. Okay. Another prime example. One more example for the listeners. I hate to keep beating the dead horse, but it may be some people it's not clicking yet. Mm-hmm. But like Little Caesars, right?
Okay.
Love Little Caesars. It's great price for a good pizza, right? And some people are like, I don't like it. It's opinion, whatever. Pizza, yeah. Or you got like Brix, Brix. I think that's a pizza place, like a gourmet pizza place. Mm-hmm. All right. So if you're in a pizza, you got a culture that just goes, let me slide by Little Caesars and get 2 pizzas for like $10.
Yeah, and you would have people that would kind of poo-poo that idea. They would frown upon the idea. What do you mean a pizza for $5?
Hey, I'm not eating no pizza.
But
Little Caesars.
You go to a gourmet pizza place. Yeah. If you go to Pie Works isn't around anymore, but Pie Works position themselves as a gourmet pizza place.
It was Pie Works I was thinking of. You're right.
Pie Works.
Brix.
Yeah.
Brix is another one, though.
Brix is another one. But Pie Works, they're out of business, so I'm not offending anybody by talking about it. But they position themselves as a gourmet pizza place. You could get alligator and rattlesnake and rabbit on your pizza.
Yeah, they make great pizza.
And it was phenomenal pizza. Yeah. Just make sure you take a second mortgage on the house before you show up. But they positioned themselves that way. I mean, they had real silverware, real plates. Yeah. You could get keg root beer on tap, ice cold. You can't go anywhere and get that.
No.
And so it was a different type of experience. Now, a Pie Works person, someone whose primal code was activated for Pie Works probably would frown upon the idea of, let me go get a $5 hot and ready pepperoni from Little Caesars.
Yeah.
And a Little Caesars person, like myself, in spite of the fact that I knew that Pie Works was absolutely delicious, I just couldn't see on the regular going and spending that level of making that type of financial investment into a pizza.
So you have your non-believers of Pie Works, which would be people like, I'm not going to I agree with you. I understand that's really great, life-changing pizza, whatever. But I'll stay here with my people, the hot and ready portal, and maybe go out there for a birthday or something.
Walk in, grab it, walk out. That whole experience of, I ordered this on the app. I walk in, there's people waiting in line, but I don't have to.
Excuse me,
I need to get up to the pizza portal. I get my pizza portal, I walk out, took a total of 15 seconds inside the building. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
That's a ritual.
That's a ritual.
Pizza portal is a sacred word. You knew exactly what I was talking about. That's because you are a believer in Little Caesars. You're on the inside.
Yep.
Bands are good with this. It wouldn't be a Primal Branding podcast if we didn't talk about the Insane Clown Posse. So,
I'm telling you, I'll say it again. Those guys, you say it all the time. Whatever you say about their music, they have hit every mark when it comes to Primal Branding.
Knocked it out of the park.
They have the most one of the most zealous fan base ever. It's like if you talk about Texas, you get like don't talk about Texas. If you talk about ICP, Don't talk about ICP.
I'm telling you, anyone who turns their back on learning from someone who has done it that well is doing themselves a disservice. Because again, objectively, feel how you want to about the music. The product that they put out, you feel however you want to about that.
Yeah.
But you can still recognize and appreciate the level of marketing that took place there. Now, with ICP, you have two different segments of Nonbelievers because, of course, they're a very dirty band. They say a lot of horrible stuff in their music. And so you have parent groups and religious groups and everybody who are full of picket signs and boycotts and everything else. And that is one level of Nonbelievers. But ICP used to have on their label Twisted and a couple of other groups and bands and rap groups and things like that. They had a falling out with Twisted, and so there was a split. And so some of the bands on the label stayed with ICP and Psychopathic Records, sacred word, and some of them went with Twisted and started a new label called Magic Ninja Entertainment. And so now you've got the Elvis Beatles thing going on. Because people who enjoyed ICP and also enjoyed Twisted, in 99, 2000, 2001, after they had the falling out, those same people, they don't suddenly hate Twisted's music, but you're either psychopathic or you're Magic Ninja. You can't be both, right? So I'll listen to Twisted sometimes. I'm good with that. But, I'm psychopathic. You see what I mean?
I understand what you're saying.
And so you can have you will have Nonbelievers. Once you create the Primal Branding, once you create that zealous group, when you have your believers, by default, you'll have Nonbelievers. And Nonbelievers can enjoy the other stuff, and you can enjoy the other stuff, and the other believers can enjoy your stuff.
It's not a line. It's not a line in the sand.
It's not a chasm that you can't cross over. But your code was activated by one or the other.
Exactly.
So.
All right. Well, dude. Well, again, this is Ash.
And this is Tiny.
A.K.A. Dave.
Check out Patrick Hanlon's book, Primal Branding. There's a link in the description. Anybody who's working in business and entrepreneurship and marketing can learn so much from it. I can't recommend it highly enough.
Check out AMSDynamics.com.
Reach out to us at info@AMSDynamics.com. If you have any questions about anything in the podcast, we'll be glad to help you and your business and your marketing.
Man, thank y'all for listening. See y'all next time.